Alright, so today I am here with creative Clint from Gravestone, and we are gonna talk. I'm gonna talk to you a little bit about what you do, and then present it to our audience. So, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, thanks for being here. Can you tell me a little bit about your band, your position, what you do?
Okay, well, we're Gravestone. We're a all-original metal band here from Omaha. I play lead guitar, do quite a bit of songwriting, but we try to songwrite as a group. But me and DJ, the other guitar player, we handle the guitar duties quite a bit, but we bounce off each other quite a bit. We do play some covers, but we're not a cover band. We play covers as filler. As we write more materials, covers will go. And other than that, we play basically an hour-long set, and out of that hour-long set, we've only got 3 songs that aren't ours. Everything else is all ours and all original.
Nice. I favor originals, so thank you. What would you say has empowered or encourages you in a way?
I'd have to say just music in general, especially my bandmates. They really, are good with, hey, that's kind of cool, hey, that's not working, or let's try this. So there's no tearing it down. It's like, well, let's take this idea, let's work on it and see what we can get out of it. So, and then playing, working with those songs and playing them for people and having the people, throw the horns or yell or whatever. That really, that's it right there.
Yes. Thank you. What skills have you learned that will help you in your music career?
How to work in a band.
Yes, that's important.
I credit these guys in Gravestone quite a bit for that, just because we all get along as musicians, as friends, as people, and as brothers in this world of metal, that it really, that's pretty much it. Just those guys.
Oh, yeah. You're a multi-talented artist. How do you manage to give your best in all endeavors, both music and not music related?
With music, I can definitely say it's just that feeling of like nailing a song. Like, you write a song and you just work with it. Maybe it's not happening, but after a couple practices or whatever, it finally gets. Or or I'll play along with like a CD at home or listen to radio or something, and I'll play a riff or something like that. And then once I finally nail it, it's that feeling. That's it right there.
Yes. How would you describe your music?
Uncompromising. No, we to borrow a phrase from at least one of my influences, Metallica. They write music for them. They write the music they want to hear. They don't play to their audience, which a lot of people think that they sell out. But but that's what we do. We play what we want to hear. We wear our influences on our sleeves. That's basically the major thing with that. We just go into like, hey, I got this idea, and then someone will say, well, hey, that sounds like Overkill, or that sounds like Testament, and be like, yeah, I kind of hear it, and then it just kind of takes shape from there. But that is definitely it. We wear our influences on our sleeves, and we play that we want to hear. 100%. It's like, this is what we hear, how we want to hear it, and we convey that to other people. And if they like it, fucking cool.
Oh yeah, I can definitely understand what you're saying there, as far as if it's not your passion, if your heart isn't in it, it's not going to be your best work.
Yeah, I really don't like to play. I like to play for people. I don't like to play to people.
Yes.
And that's kind of what separates originals from cover bands. They're playing for themselves. They're having their fun playing AC/DC or whatever, but they're playing for the people. They want people to come, so they're playing music that will draw people. Same way with like bands like AC/DC and bands like Slayer and Pantera. They got this formula that works, and that's what their people expect from them. And that's cool, that's great, but that's not how I like to do it. I want to play what I want to hear, and sometimes I want to hear death thrash, 1,000 miles an hour stuff, and sometimes I want to hear bluesy, sometimes I want to hear other stuff. It's all, like in Gravestone, it's all metal, it all fits together, it all flows, but each song tells its own story, and it's our story. And if people can relate to it, like I said, cool.
Yes, very nice. What is your favorite song you've written?
That's kind of a tough one. I was in a band some 23 years ago, and we had a song called Shotgun,
Ooh.
which was really cool. It was really simple, and it was kind of lame. It was one of the first songs that I'd ever wrote by myself from start to finish, and I was kind of proud of it. But now I'd have to say Prowler. It's the song we open our set with. We got tons of videos on our page, but Prowler is just the culmination of me and DJ putting our heads together and taking this riff idea that I had and this chorus idea that he had and just pounding it out and just coming out swinging. And it really, I think it perfectly embodies who we are, what we play, as well as it's a, pardon my language, it's a fucking steamroller that hits the crowd head on. So that's my most proud song.
No
Definitely.
worries, swearing is friendly on this channel. Okay, so so Prowler from Gravestone, go check that out. If you have already, go check it out again. And then, what in particular inspired you while writing?
I don't know. I never really thought about that, honestly. But while writing, it's just what gives me goosebumps. What will, you know, what's something that I write that gives that hits me, that has meaning for me, that has definition for me. Using Prowler as an example, our main riff, it just made me, when I wrote it, and DJ was like, yeah, man, yeah. And I was like, dude, this makes me want to bang my head. So we stuck with that, and as we layered parts on it, you know, it was like, well, that doesn't work. And then next thing I know, you know, it became the monster that it is. And same with another song, Nameless. That's our second song we ever wrote. Just that, again, coming back to what I said, those goosebumps,
Yes.
that feeling of just, this is a motherfucker. Yeah, put that smile on your face. So that's it right there.
Thank you for that response. That's a different response than I've ever had. Thank you. So what is your creative process like? I know you've kind of elaborated on it a little bit.
It's really weird for me. Like DJ, he'll just have some pop in his head, and Bob, he writes our lyrics. I stay away. I rhyme like Dr. Seuss, so I don't do any of that. But they'll just, everyone else will just have something pop in their head, just come to them. But for me, like, it'll be at the weirdest spot. Like, I drive a mixer truck and a side dump and stuff, so I'll be just driving down the road, and all of a sudden, wow, that's cool. So I'll get my phone and I'll speak into it, the riff, or I was like, hey DJ, I got this idea. It sounds like this, but it doesn't sound like this. And he knows what I'm talking about. He's like, yeah, man, yeah. And then he'll send me a video. And I'll be like, yeah, man, that's cool too. Or I'll send him a video like, hey, I got this idea. And that's just kind of how it starts. It comes out of nowhere. Or I'll just be playing along with, like, have my earbuds in. I'll be playing along with, like, Metallica or something. And then I'll hear something like, wait. And I'll try to play it, but I won't play it correctly. Like, well, that sounds kind of cool. So I'll just work with it, and then it becomes something else. That's how, like, I write individually, but as a band, we bring it all in and literally throw stuff out, just spitball. And if something's cool, like, yeah, man, that's cool. And sometimes like, I'm not feeling with that. Like, okay, we'll put a pin in that and come back to it later. And then as we get better and more cohesive as a unit, then we'll come back to that and be like, hey, so, you know, I got a better idea for that. You know, let's take this, instead of doing it this way, let's try it this way. And then we have a whole other song.
Thank you. That was awesome. Thank you. You are awesome.
Well, thank you. You're awesome too.
Absolutely. Thank you. Have you ever taught anyone to play an instrument or anything band related?
Yes. For a while, I used to live in a little town called McCook before I moved here to Omaha.
I am too from Cook.
I am so sorry.
Likewise.
When were you there?
I grew up on and off since 1994, so yeah.
We had moved there in 2010, and then we moved here in 2019.
Oh yeah, that's about when I stopped living out there.
Right on.
Yeah. I definitely enjoy the city.
Yeah. There's a lot more places to eat.
Indeed.
But out there, I marketed myself as a hired gun. My shtick was I will play any music. All I need is 48 hours and I'll learn your entire set. And through that, I met people and kids that wanted to learn how to play, guitar and stuff like that. But my whole life, as I started playing, I would, I started off as a drummer. So I've taught kids how to play drums. I've taught kids how to play guitar. I've taught bass. I at one point in time wanted to start my own school of rock, and that was out in McCook. And I moved out here and I found out there is one, which I think is fucking totally great.
Yes. It's important.
It is very important. But then I was like, well, now I'm around a whole bunch more people that are better than me, so I don't do that anymore. But I've taught probably 15, 16 people how to play.
Very nice.
Whether or not they're still doing it, I couldn't tell you, but I'd like to think they are.
Indeed. Playing's important.
Yes.
How would you describe that experience?
Of teaching you?
Yeah, yes.
Frustrating. No, I've always considered myself a decent teacher. I try to be as detailed as I could, but I approach teaching instruments to be as good as I was, if not better, to take that seed of liking music and giving it some water. And probably 98% of the people that came to me, they just wanted to play Korn, or they wanted to play Metallica. They wanted to learn a power chord and just fly away with it. They didn't want to actually learn their instrument. Out of all of them, only a handful of them really like, okay, well, this is a B minor. Oh, okay. Hey, I learned that B minor. While I was at it, I played along with this. Like, cool, Stevie Ray Vaughan, nice. And stuff. But most of the time, people just want to learn how to play a song. And that's even with, I'm sure, people watching this, if they're a teacher, that they get a kid like, hey, teach me this song. And they don't really want to learn how to play the instrument. They just want to learn how to play a song. So.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. Mm-hmm. What would you do if your audience looked bored?
I scream at them. I do that anyway.
Indeed.
I do that anyway. Like, I do this every show. We start off, we hit the first notes of Prowler, and I just start screaming, come on, get the fuck up. Scream. I'll do the cliched, I can't hear you. Just try to get people into it, because it's playing live music for me is like circular energy. Like, I give out this energy, and if the crowd receives it, they give it back with, yelling, clapping, moshing, stage diving, whatever it is. I get that energy back, and then I just give that back tenfold. It just becomes this whirlwind of energy that just keeps topping itself. So if I'm up there and I see guys, on their phone or just staring, what am I doing wrong? Like, I do a quick assessment of, maybe I need to step out more, maybe I need to bang my head more, maybe I need to get in their face more and get them involved with it.
Yes.
So,
crowd engagement, I feel, is very beneficial.
Agreed. Wholeheartedly.
Yes. Thank you. How did you get into making music?
It was just ingrained in me. Ever since I was a little kid, I remember banging on pots and pans with wooden spoons and stuff. I was like maybe 4 or 5 years old, and I always wanted to be a drummer. That's what I wanted to do. And when Dire Straits' "Money for Nothing" came out, that dates me. That drum intro, I want to learn how to play it, and I'd bang on I'd take my mom's pillows and I'd set them up like toms, and I'd try to play them. And my brother, I have an older brother, and he's like, well, you can't do it. I was like, watch me. And then I went out for drums my 5th grade year and became first chair drummer with them. And then I quit drums because they wouldn't let me play the drum set. That's for high school kids. And they're like, you got to, learn to walk before you learn to run. And I knew how good I was. So I said, nah, I'm not going to do that. So, but my parents have played music since I was in the womb before, and still to this day, when they're just sitting around cleaning the house, doing whatever, they'll pop on the radio and they'll play, what I consider oldies rock and 60s, 70s music and stuff like that. So music's always been a part of my life, always.
Very nice. What are your favorite genres?
Metal, 100% metal is my favorite of all the genres. When I first heard in the early 80s, I was in the first grade, and I heard the Sex Pistols, Anarchy in the UK, and Twisted Sisters, We're Not Gonna Take It. I was instantly hooked. And my mom liked Black Sabbath and Alice Cooper.
Nice.
But my dad liked the Beach Boys and a little bit of some of that stuff, but mostly Beach Boys and like outlaw country, Waylon Jennings, stuff like that. So I had this very diverse music all around, but I was always drawn to the more heavier, aggressive, even like Steppenwolf and stuff. I was always drawn to that. And then an old friend of mine, I lived in this shithole of a town out in nowhere, Kansas, called Otis. Population 200, like 200 stray cats. I mean, there's like no one there. So, but one of my best friends at the time turned me into this band called Anthrax around 87, like right when Among the Living came out. And instantly I was like, this is cool. Like instant drawn to it.
Yes.
And then from there, he showed me Metallica. And then from there, Slayer. And then by that time, we'd moved out of that small town into a bigger town that I could watch Headbangers Ball. And that was just it. Then I discovered Napalm Death, Sepultura, Morbid Angel, Deicide, Death, Obituary. I discovered all these death metal bands and became this quest to find the heaviest music I could. But I can show you on my phone, I have everything from Death and Deicide, Cannibal Corpse, to Waylon Jennings, to Hank Williams Jr., to Anthrax and thrash metal, Judas Priest, and Blondie and ABBA.
Nice, very nice. Thank you.
So I'm quite diverse, but it's metal. Metal is in my veins.
What's a genre that would surprise your audience that you like?
Outlaw country. I hate country music with a passion. I absolutely do. I've gotten in many argument and shoving matches with guys with cowboy hats.
That's funny.
But Waylon Jennings, Conway Twitty, Hank Williams, especially Hank Williams Jr. I love that stuff. I'll just family tradition is my jam. That is my song.
Thank you for sharing with us. What brand of speaker or monitor do you prefer?
It's only been recently that I've played on things that weren't PV. I'd have to say EV for sure is my favorite. As far as like PA speakers and monitors, EV is definitely my fave. I've been around some no-name ones, and I've been around custom enclosures where they use, I think, Celestion speakers. But EV, as far as the name brand is concerned for PA monitors, EV for sure. I've been around Insignias, but I don't know a whole lot about them. As far as my rig is concerned, Celestion speakers for sure, especially vintage 30s. I played through Eddie Van Halen 5150 3 gold face combo with a matching amp or matching speakers, and those are custom made Celestians, and I love Celestians.
Nice, thanks for sharing that. What do you do before a performance to get in the zone?
Jam. I listen to music. I talk to good friends. I get by myself a little bit for not long, but before before I go to the venue, I'll no music, no nothing. I'll drive there, just in my head, just kind of like, all right, Clint, concentrate on what you're doing. We're doing this, we're doing this, we're doing this. This is gonna be cool. And then I'll get there, and then I'll start vibing on what they're playing through the PA, and I'll slowly get with friends, and I'll slowly get with bandmates. Like, all right, guys, let's have a good fucking show. The place is packed, or okay, there's two people here, but let's make those motherfuckers feel like they're up front, like they're the only people here. So that's it.
Awesome. Thank you. What is the most interesting experience you've had as a musician?
As a musician, I've had a lot between playing in cover bands, original bands. I'm from Kansas, so all the places I played in Kansas. There's a couple that comes to mind, but one that sticks out for me is I played this small town in western Kansas called Kinsley, and it was a good show. It was us, a band called Undermined. They were a cover band with a couple originals, new metal. You know, this is 2000, 99, 2000, right in there. So it was like definitely that era, and a goth band called Negative 13, and it was a good show, but the kids that came up to us when it was done wanted autographs. There was a couple kids like, hey, could you sign this? You know, cool. If you got t-shirt stickers, like we got nothing, but I'll sign the roster. Here's our set list, you know, and I signed it. And they thought that we were like rock stars. These kids had never seen a band, and to have a band from Salina, you know, come down and play was just cool for these high school kids. They thought that was just the coolest thing ever.
Yes.
So that was for me kind of a, like, look, man, I work in a grocery store part-time and go to college, so I'm just me, but here's my name. I hope you love it.
Yes.
So that was the most interesting part.
It sounds like a great experience.
It was cool, but at the same time it was weird for me because I'm like, dude, I grew up in a town like this. Like, we're not that cool.
I mean, they thought you were pretty cool, so
Yeah.
cool. What is the most challenging experience let me say that again. What is the most challenging experience as a musician?
I'd say between bettering yourself, always trying to hone your craft, you know, because you can always be better, you can always be tighter. I'd say
This before.
yes. Playing in a unit and making sure everyone's voice is heard, making sure everyone's opinion is valid and heard, and making sure all the songs are as good as they can be, and not just letting stuff because we need filler or something like that. Our bassist John, I call him the voice of reason because he has no problem saying, you know, nah, I'm not vibing on this, or I don't know what to think. I mean, most of the part he has kind of no opinion. He just goes with the flow. But if it's definitely not vibing, he'll say something, and everyone does. But I respect John the most because if he says, nah, man, like that carries weight with me. So definitely the most challenging thing is working as a cohesive unit and not letting, you know, well, I brought this riff in, so this is my baby. I want to make sure I use it, you know, and not being the opposite of, because you didn't bring the riff in, hearing something be like, nah, that's crap, you know. So I try to listen to everyone. I try to bounce ideas off everyone. I try to be as inclusive and like a democracy as much as I can. And it can be challenging because sometimes no one has an opinion.
Right.
And so then you're stuck there with, well, I don't like this. And everyone else doesn't have an opinion, so do we keep it? So, and sometimes it's the opposite. Everyone else loves it. And sometimes I might feel like this isn't good enough for us. You know, this just doesn't happen. But everyone else is like, no, this is really cool. And it's like, fine. But that is definitely the most challenging thing, is making sure the music is good and everyone's happy with it.
Yes. All right. And then what is the most fulfilling experience you've had as a musician?
Gray's Keg, a little over a month ago. That was from the time that I played from pots and pans in front of my mom, to high school band, to the first cover band I ever played in. And I've kind of done some cool stuff. I played at the Cloud County Fair in Cloud County, Kansas. I've done that. I've done my own festival in Salina, Kansas that had, I think it was like 9 or 10 bands. I organized, that was my brainchild. I've had a couple bands that were all my inception, not to stroke my own ego or anything, but you know, But all of that pales in comparison to our gig at Grace Keg. That just the fucking all the stars aligned. The place wasn't, there wasn't 1,000 people there, but I had a lot of good friends there. I had club brothers there, and they were all up front for us. And a little bit of a mosh pit going on, screaming and yelling. It's just, we played tight. The sound was good. They had these little pedestals for me and DJ or anyone on stage to stand on. And when I first went into Prowler, those first 3 notes that I played, and everyone just came up front and just throwing the horns and screaming. There's video of it. I can't remember if it's on our page or not, but I was just smiling ear to ear. And we just played. All my solos were good. The bass was perfect. The drums were perfect. The vocals were perfect. Everything, just like I said, all the stars aligned. That was the most defining moment and best moment I've ever had as a musician.
I love that for you. Thanks for sharing that.
Thanks.
How do you navigate creative blocks or performance anxiety?
Cocaine.
I mean...
No, I don't. No, I don't do drugs. No, I just work with it. I work with it like if I'm practicing my scales and my fingers cramp up, or I keep hitting a sour note, because I got these bear claws for hands, I just can't quite make the stretching. I'll stop, I'll walk away from it, maybe I'll play something else, maybe I'll just put the guitar up all together, and I'll come back to it, and then I'll try it again, and I'll do it again and again until I get it. And that's basically how I just walk away for a second, or I just kind of, and then try again. Just keep trying.
Indeed. What is the coolest fact about you or your band or your creation? What would you like to share with our audience today?
Well, the coolest fact about our band is we're all in our middle 40s, and we play like we're 20.
Nice.
My knee and my back are hurting today. I'm sure Bob's back's hurting. I'm sure DJ, his knee is like not happening. I know Monica's feet, our drummer, I'm sure his feet kind of hurt a little bit, but that's definitely one thing. And I'd also like to think the other thing is we all come from, except for me because I'm a transplant, we all come from different bands that were known in the area, and I think that's where some of our buzz comes from, is that people had heard of Monaco and Bob's former band, people had heard of John's previous band, and a lot of people knew DJ from his band, and just the fact that he's everywhere and just knew a lot of people. So although we came to the scene new, we had a pedigree to us already. So people were already intrigued, like, hey, what are they doing? I wonder what this is going to sound like. And we're nothing like those other bands. We're different. We're better, and we're different, and it's just, that's what it is, I guess.
I'm sure that energy is kind of helpful too.
Yeah, and because of how well we cohese with each other. I mean, our very first practice, like, we didn't really know anybody. It's like, hey, I'm Clint. Oh, I'm John. I'm DJ. Hey, how's it going? We just kind of looked at each other, and I went into the Stevie Ray Vaughan lick, and I mean, we were just having fun with it. It wasn't serious at all. I mean, we were all kind of making faces, but it sounded like we'd been playing together for 20 years.
Nice.
And then I went into another song. I don't remember what it was. And again, it sounded like we'd been doing it for 20 years. And then we did Metallica's Enter Sandman as just a joke because it's so easy. And again, it sounded like we had been playing it together for 20 years, even though we're all like doing stupid dances and just kind of fucking around with it. So like right away, like our singer Bob just said, hey, this feels right. You know, we all get along. I was like, I feel like I can just hang out with you guys. I'm like, well, we should. And so before practice, during and after practice, we'll all sit around and bullshit with each other, talk about our families and jobs and stuff. So we try to be as much friends and brothers as we are, you know, in a business band relationship.
Yes, seems like you and your band are very communicative and very collaborative.
It's because where we came from beforehand, sucked. There was no communication. There was roadblocks in place. There was egos, or there was other things involved. So, and I will openly admit that in one of the bands I was in some 20 years ago, I was the ego. I was the roadblock. I had I was studying theory, and I'm the superior guitar player. I can play drums. I can play bass. I wrote all these parts. I didn't write them for you to play. This is my brainchild, and it is what it is. It failed because of that.
Thanks for sharing. What can your fans expect from a live performance?
Metal.
Yes.
Uncompromising. We try to be as high energy as we can. We try to get the crowd involved. Loud, abrasive, heavy. If you like Testament, Overkill, Exodus, if you like that American style heavy metal, not Judas Priest style, not Iron Maiden. If you like, we play in D standard and drop C. For those musicians that will know what that means.
I have no idea.
A little lower tuning, a lot of palm mutes, really aggressive, because that's just what we want to hear. This is what we want to hear played today. This is what we want to hear out of bands. So but when we bring it, our singer's up front, and he's a big guy, so he just commands your attention. Yes. And I try to be high energy. I want to be entertaining. I don't want to stare at my shoes like fucking Nirvana or any of that stuff. And DJ, he's just this ball of energy. He's everywhere. He's engaging the crowds, doing the stuff. And John, he's a little bit more laid back, but he's in it and he's into it. That energy's there. And Monica's drumming is just phenomenal. So expect a pretty high energy live show.
Thank you. Are you excited? I'm excited. Sounds like a great show. All of these shows have sounded like great shows. Anything of interest or skills you'd like to share outside of music?
I used to draw quite a bit. I designed a couple of the tattoos that I have. I designed that one. Nice. I designed that one. I designed that one. There's a cover up in here. I designed that one. I didn't design any of those. I got one on my leg that I designed too.
Nice.
So I like
just stand up on the table, lift up your pant leg.
Well, I'm only wearing shorts, so you get to see them. But I like to draw. I know Bob likes to write. Everyone else just kind of plays their own stuff. But outside of music, I like to draw.
Nice. Yes. Art is awesome. How is your music or sound different from others?
That's kind of a hard one, because that's the approach that I take to writing and playing, like what separates us.
Nice.
Because, there's only one Slayer, there's only one Metallica, and everyone else is just copying. And sometimes you get a copy that's decent, like Lamb of God. They aren't a Slayer copy, but they're our age. So they grew up listening to, Kill 'Em All, Master of Puppets, South of Heaven, Practice What You Preach. So they took those influences and turned it into that, but there's definitely that influence can be heard. So I'd have to say what separates us is we don't conform or want to do what everyone else is doing. We don't do 7-string, really low tuning, off-time signature stuff. We don't do the screamo. Scream at the top of your lungs, and the melodic vocals, and that's cool for them and people that do that. I won't discount that, but all of us, we like straightforward, in your face, palm mute, fast, catchy, Pantera-ish, Testament style of writing. That's what we like. So I think, if anything, that's what separates us from a lot of more popular metal acts that are out there today. That we have our style. This is what we do. We're not trying to be nothing. We're just trying to be ourselves.
Nice. Well, yeah. Embrace individuality. It's important, especially when it comes to your creative skills. How has your skills and sound evolved throughout your time as a musician?
I've become a lot more in tune with not so much lows. me and DJ talk about this all the time. That's one of the reasons why we cohese together so well. When I first started playing, and a lot of guitar players, when they start playing, they like that heavy low end. So what they'll do is it's called scooping their mids. They'll turn their bass up all the way, turn their mids down all the way, and turn their highs up all the way. And that sounds cool when you're jamming in your basement by yourself with your stereo, or if you're just jamming with a drummer. But once you get with a bass player, those lows become really muddy. And once you start trying to record that, then it's just all bass. So, but that's what I started off as. And so as I evolved, like all my heroes, Dimebag is Dimebag. You can hear his guitar, you know instantly who he is. You hear Kirk Hammett, you hear his solo, you know instantly who he is. You hear Zach Wilde, instantly you know who he is, because that's all he does is those fucking little squeals. But still, he has his own sound. Tony Iommi from Black Sabbath, he has his own sound. So as I started maturing as a player, I wanted to develop what I thought was my sound. So I bought a guitar, a very expensive guitar. I was like, this is where I'm going to start, because this has the wood and the pickups that I like. And then as time went on, I started dialing in my sound on an amp, and then I got that 5150. And I spent a whole afternoon just going one up, one down on everything. Excuse me. Before I finally found a sound and a vibe that worked for me, and I'm like, this is it. This is what I'm doing. And then I met DJ, and he's like, hey, what do you got for a sound? And I took a picture of my EQ. He's like, dude, that's my setting too. And we were sending videos back and forth, and like, this is cool, because our sounds really complement each other well like that.
Nice. That's important.
Very much so.
Yes.
I want to be someone that when you hear my guitar, you know it's me.
Yes.
I want that to be my voice, my sound, my thing. And I think I finally found something that works for me.
I think you're really giving me that rock star vibe.
Oh, yes.
Yes. What is the best music advice given to you?
Quit.
I've heard this before. We've heard this before.
No.
I feel like that's the next question, though. What is the worst?
Live your dreams. No, the best advice that was ever... It wasn't really advice I was given, because I've heard lots of advice, and probably the best actual individual advice I've heard is play for yourself, and you will never go wrong.
Yes.
If you play what makes you happy, then you'll always be happy with what you play. And that's one of the reasons why I've played in country bands, cover bands, metal bands, death metal bands. I played drums, guitar, and bass, because I was playing for myself. But in all truth, the best thing that ever happened to me was all the bad things that happened to me. Case in point, I was in a band years ago that I was most unceremoniously kicked out of as their bass player, because I was becoming a better guitar player than their rhythm guitar player, and I was nipping on the heels of the lead guitar player. And I had better equipment than both of them, because I had a bank in my back pocket. I could just write a check and cover it. And I was always practicing guitar, but I was never practicing bass. So instead of them putting me on rhythm guitar, or like, hey Clint, let's focus here, they just kicked me out, because they had ulterior motives. And that pissed me off, and it hurt, because this is my cousin's band with myself, and we were best friends. And we were going to conquer the world with each other. We were going to be the next Metallica. That's what we told ourselves, because we gelled so well. And so when that happened, I was really hurt by it, because my cousin didn't stand up for me a whole lot. So I took that anger, and I was just like, okay, fuck you guys. I will be in a band that's better, faster, heavier, more technical than you could ever be. You're just a cover band. I'm writing original music. And that's when basically the band I was last in, Butane, was formed. Was out of the ashes of that, and I walked into it with the members at the time, and as we grew and members came and went, that focus was like, I'm going to be better than them. And then once I became better than them, then it was, okay, I want to play up here, and we're down here. So I started listening to my heroes, and started listening to other bands in the area, and started thinking, okay, well, I'm writing like this, well, I want to be like them. So I started writing similar. and playing similar styles of music. But it was that anger of, you can't make it, you'll never make it. To be a professional musician of 1 in a million, you'll never. You're from a small town in Kansas, Clint. It's never going to happen. And I just use that as my drive to get better and better and better and better. And then reality sunk in, and then I had a daughter, and it was just like, okay, well, I might not be in a band, but I'm still going to be a good musician.
Yeah.
So I started teaching myself guitar in theory, and started teaching myself bass, and started kind of honing my skills on drums. And eventually, before I moved out here, I had my own home recording studio. I wrote all my own music. I played all my own music. I tried to record all my own music, but it's kind of hard to do that when you're a solo guy, when you're just one guy. But just that anger fueled me to be as good as I am. And now it's the opposite. It's the positive. It's the guys in my band encouraging me to play the best, to do the best. It's the crowds that I see. It's the whole Omaha scene. It's the other guys, especially our friends in Evil Shadows and Viscerous. Those guys are freaking cool, and they come out and they're just like, dude, you guys are fucking great. You know, you got a killer sound. You got a killer sound. You guys sound like this. You sound like this. And to have, you know, who I consider my contemporaries, you know, give me a big attaboy. That's it now. So that's kind of the progression arc, as it were. So the best, again, like I said, the best advice: quit, you suck. And at the same time, the best advice is, hey, you're doing good, keep it up.
I'm sorry you had that experience. At the same time, I'm glad that it ultimately kind of works out for you.
Well, I've always told people, everyone comes to adversity with out of it two ways. It either destroys them or it defines them. So you'll come out of a bad situation, you know, feeling sorry for yourself, you know, blaming other people, or, you know, oh, well, you know, this happened to me, so feel sorry for me, or this happened to me, so I'm like this. Or someone comes out the other side and says, you know what, I made it through that. Fuck you, fuck you, and fuck you. I'm more than what you thought I was, and you know what, I'm going to keep climbing.
Yes.
That's, from my life, my 45 years on this planet, that's what I learned, is that's adversity makes you go one of two directions, and I've been down both directions.
Thank you for your wisdom. Is there anything you want our audience or viewers to know about you as Clint or a local creative?
I'm just me. I always call myself I'm a hack, that I'm actually no good on guitar, that I suck. I don't know why you come see me. I'm just me. I'm just this guy from some small town in Kansas that somehow ended up in fucking Omaha, Nebraska. But
You're very humble. I'm just a guy.
I am. There are other guitar players that are eons, levels ahead of me. And my issue is I try to be everything for everyone. I want to be a well-rounded blues player. I want to be a well-rounded rock player. I don't want to learn how to play jazz. But I want to be a well-rounded metal player. I just want to be I want to be able to do it all. So
I think that being a well-rounded creative is important.
it helps me, and at the same time, it's also a stumbling block, because when I go to approach a solo, I have all these ideas come at me like, well, what do I want to do? Do I want to do a bluesy solo? Do I want to do a flashy solo? Do I want nothing but whammy bar dynamics? Do I want to showcase my abilities? You know, and I'll sit there and just literally just go tink, 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 tink while I'm just trying to think of it. But the most part, I just go with what I'm feeling at that moment. And a lot of times I don't play the same solo twice.
Any words of advice or encouragement to the same or similar creatives?
Well, like I said, don't give up. Do it for you. Do it 100% for you, because if you do it for someone else, you're going to be disappointed. And that's not to say, like, if you're already in a band, that you don't play to your constituents and that you don't play to your fan base. You know, Gravestone's Gravestone. We're playing metal. That's it. And we got a song called Save Me. That's a little bit more of a ballady type thing, but it's still us, it's still our sound, it's still metal, but
Yes.
we're not going to release a blues album. I've worn a cowboy hat on stage before. It was a little bit of a story on it, but it was my dad's cowboy hat. But we're not going to write a country album.
Right.
So I'd say, play for you and stay, as long as you stay honest with yourself, you can't go wrong.
Indeed. Yes. What instruments do you play? Any you aspire to play? You said you wanted to learn jazz.
My fingers I can't.
Aw.
I can't.
I don't think I could do that either.
Well, I've always bragged. There's very few things in this world I have an ego about, but being a musician's one of them that I do. I could basically take any instrument on this planet, and within a few minutes, I could play you a song.
Nice.
Would it be, Philharmonic Orchestra level? No. Could I dink around on it like on a viola? Could I scratch out a song or a melody? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm just multi-talented. But if I had to say one instrument, would be the banjo. I've never really sat down with one, but I've always admired people that could do that chicken picking, as they call it, or hybrid picking. I can't. I've tried, but the banjo would definitely be one instrument that I would love to be able to really, really, really be good at.
Thank you. I hope someday you get to play that.
Maybe not. They cost money, so.
Oh, yeah, they do. Every instrument does. Is there anything you feel might enhance your experience?
Like in how so? Like as a musician, as a person, or like as a band?
Answer that one however you please. I mean, whatever you want them to know about you.
What would enhance my experience in the band? The band's already what we are, so that's enhancing the experience. Bigger crowds.
Yes.
Playing more shows, playing bigger shows.
Attend shows, support your local creatives, get there, be there. They are offering amazing stuff to us. Be part of it.
Buy our merch.
Yes, buy merch, support your local creatives.
But yeah, I'd say bigger crowds. Because if you don't dream on what you're doing, you're going to kind of just be in one little area, and that's cool for some people. We started off this band as when I joined Turn to Dust before this with DJ as a last hoorah before I hang up my guitars forever. I play at home. That's all I'm going to do, and it just felt like a motherfucker with him. Like we were just jammed together. It's like, this is too magical to just let it go. So when Turn to Dust kind of fell apart for its reasons, we got this other thing going on with two other local guys who were pretty talented, but we were all pulling in different directions. Like me and DJ, we had the same vision, and that's where we wanted to go with. And with DJ's experience and my experience together, it was like, hey, we kind of know, these guys hadn't really played in a professional band before. So it's like, hey, we kind of know how to navigate this land a little bit. So, but, personality differences, creative differences, direction, it just, everyone pulled in a different way. So we all kind of, at the end of the day, shook hands. Sorry it didn't work out, good luck, and then we got with Bob and Monaco. And so it started off just, like I said, great. And so it started off for me personally as my last hoorah into the music world. And I told myself, I'll play one show. I want to play one show to a good crowd, and I can die happy. I can forever hang my guitars and I'll be okay. So we played our first show in August of last year at Dream on the Green outside for the Bill Roundtree benefit. We were the last band. It was like freaking midnight. I'm like, fuck, it's midnight. Who's going to be here? Well, there's still over 100 people there. And then a lot of them got up front for the stage for us. And it was just like, my heart's, I got that adrenaline rush, like, oh my God. And it was great. up until Grace Keg, that was my best experience. And so like I said, what started off as my last little hoorah, each show has grown, each show has gotten better. We're writing more songs. This is becoming more and more fun, and it's just like what I have now is what I wanted 25 years ago.
Nice.
So this is Gravestone will be probably my last hoorah. I'm riding this wave for all it's worth for as long as it can go.
Yes, please.
We, as a band though, goal wise, we'd like to do a tour, maybe small one. Maybe play a festival. I would love to open for a national act, like Machine Head or Soulfly, because they come through here quite a bit.
Yes.
And we have connections. We know people that are in the booking world that book those shows. So we're hoping someday, that'll happen, because from the time I was a little kid till this morning when I woke up, to play for either a big crowd or open for a national act. That's my last drop on my bucket list. So
nice.
that happens. I mean, I could walk away from it forever after that. I won't, but that'd be my definitive moment. Because like I said, I started off with this. I want one show. Give me one show, and every show's been better and better,
Nice.
and more people show up. More and more people come to our Facebook page. More and more people message me. More and more people message DJ. So, like I said, it started off this is this, and now it's cool. It's everything I've ever wanted it to be.
Well,
and
I, as
more.
Rosetta, wish that for you.
Thank you.
Absolutely. We all deserve everything we dream of and desire. So,
Absolutely.
Yeah, yes. Where can our audience connect with you as a creative?
Well, like I said, Facebook. We were on Facebook. Gravestone, just research that. Gravestone Omaha. There is another Gravestone, but they're in Russia, so trademarks and stuff like that don't intersect. So just Gravestone Omaha. We got pictures and we got videos up. You can contact me on either my Facebook page, Clint Wright, or Gravestone's page. Message us on there. I'm the one who runs it, and so
Go find our creative. Go find their band page. Follow them.
please.
Yes, please. What is the funniest thing you can share with our audience?
I haven't really had a whole lot of funny moments with this band yet. We've been pretty good. But years ago, I was playing a show at the Mill. It was called the Mill in Salina, Kansas. I don't think it's around anymore. And the band I was in at that time, we had a pretty major drinking problem, and it was a bad night. My rhythm guitar player was drunk, and he was out of tune, and I was pissed off at him. I was pissed off at the singer for singing the wrong words and just screwing up. I mean, I was just like, this is serious. We gotta take this serious. And I have a picture of my bassist. His strap came down on his bass, so it went out, and he just held it over the audience like this, and he's like drunk as hell. And the picture that was taken of him holding out, I am just giving him this death glare, just like, I'm gonna fucking kill you. And it was after the show, I went to light his ass up because, oh no, what happened? My strap came undone. And I was like, oh shit. And then I started thinking about it, and I had to laugh. And because every time I look at that picture of him just holding his bass out, I was like, oh my God, Joe. I was like, oh my God, this is so funny. So that would be probably the funniest moment for me, because it was just it was toward the end of the show, and I was just steaming mad, and that little thing happened, and it just was like, you know what, this is funny. This is really funny.
Yes. It's awesome when you can find, situations like that and find humor in it.
Yep, most
Yes.
definitely.
What is your favorite brand or style of guitar or other instrument?
ESP, please endorse me. I play a lot of your guitars. Definitely ESP. I have a Kirk Hammett signature, followed by Jackson and Ibanez. Ibanez was the first electric guitar I ever bought. I still have that guitar. Still sounds amazing. Still plays amazing. In my opinion, Ibanez makes the best 7 strings on the market. as well as some of the best shredder style guitars in the market. I mean, Steve Vai and Joe Satriani play them, so they have to be good. Jackson's my next. One of my rhythm guitar player heroes, Scotty in Anthrax, he plays Jackson guitars, so I've been a fan of the Jackson soloist for years. But then when I discovered ESP through Slayer and Metallica and Anthrax, I bought a couple LTDs. They're overseas models, and I fucking love these. I love LTDs, and that's all I really aspire to play. Although I have a Mick Thompson signature Jackson, which I do love, but I love Jackson guitars, but ESP is number one for me.
I think that Jackson's kind of a popular brand among locals.
They really? Huh.
Yeah.
Well, I actually never really paid attention. I mean, I know I'm talking with Danjo. I know
our videos. It's been mentioned in almost every video.
But then again,
awesome.
but I'm also still kind of like new to a lot of the people around the scene. I've seen a lot of different bands, and I've seen a lot of different guitars from ESP, Fender, Gibson, not a whole lot of Ibanez's, a lot of ESP LTDs, like I said. So a couple Jacksons here and there, but I'll have to go take a double look. But Jackson's definitely my second favorite next to LTD.
Nice. Any cool, fun or funny facts that our community can learn about you today? Do you have like 7 cats at home?
No, I got 2 idiot dogs. I got Bear and Coda. Bear is a 11-year-old worthless lab that all he does is sleep and grunt. And then I have Coda, who is he's called a Chiweenie, but he's basically a long-haired Dachshund mixed with a Chihuahua. So he got gypped in life. He's this long and I got legs like that.
Aww.
So he's, they're inseparable and they're insufferable all at the same time.
That's funny. Thank you. Can you share with us the difference in feelings or experience you get between on stage, jamming by yourself, or like in a small group?
Jamming, for me, jamming's jamming. But like when I'm by myself, it's more, not as much pressure. Like I will go back, like if I'm trying to learn a solo for a different song, like I don't get too mad. Like I'll just keep going until I get it. But in a band jamming situation, I feel like I need to showcase my best. So when I play a wrong note or I play the wrong chord, like I really take it personal. Like I can be so much better. So when DJ comes to me and everyone's like, "Hey, that sounded good," I'm like, "No, I sucked." No, I am an eternal pessimist when it comes to my performance. But I'm told I'm really good. So I think that's what makes me good, is I think I suck.
Yeah, I think that the humbleness definitely adds to the quality. What is the largest crowd you've experienced, and what stood out to you from that experience?
The largest crowd I played to would be my metal fest that I did in July of 2000. I think the head count on that was 500, but it was also 101 degrees out that day with it was just the sun just beating down on people. So a lot of people were seeking refuge in the shade and stuff like that. So I remember someone told me that the head count was like 500 total.
Nice.
But they weren't collectively in the middle. There's maybe 30 people right in front of the stage, and everyone else was in pockets trying to keep cool.
Aww.
So that's about it. Other than that, average 50 to 60 per show. So it's metal.
Yeah.
So cover bands bring a lot of people. Rock bands bring people. Heavy metal, it's pretty eccentric, it's pretty eclectic. So only certain people come to those shows.
Yes.
So, but I appreciate every last one that does come.
Yes. Thank you. What shows quality to you as a musician when it comes to equipment?
How it's made, not whether or not if it's made in like Tokyo or wherever like that. I used to be one of them purists, like Gibsons and Epiphones are Epiphones. I have owned 3 Les Pauls in my life, Epiphone, all of them Epiphones, and every last one I'd put against any Gibson under 10 grand. If close your eyes and play this guitar and tell me it's not a Gibson. So the overseas stuff doesn't really matter to me. Just like when you compare a made in Mexico Strat versus an American Strat, sound-wise, the tonality is the same, the playability is the same. There's a little bit of difference in the wiring and on the frets, but other than that, if it plays good, it plays good. If it sounds good, it sounds good. Yes. But when it comes to me now, I definitely want a professional grade equipment. It used to be what I can afford, and now I'll save my money. That's like that Mick Thompson Signature. They're not all that cheap. My Kirk Hammett Signature is not cheap by any stretch of the imagination at all. My 5150, even though it's only a 50 watt all tube head and a matching cabinet, it's still not cheap. So I sound the way I sound because of that.
I'm not even a musician, and I don't think any of the equipment is cheap. Instruments are not cheap.
Well, no, even a $200 Strat. If you have $100, a $200 Strat might as well be $2,000. But there is definitely with instruments, and I tell this to people that I teach. It is better that you buy a guitar that's expensive, that sounds good, and you work on your amp later than anything. Because if you play cheap, it won't set up right. It'll sound good for a while, and then it's going to start sounding cheap, and you're just going to feel uninspired. Whereas if you go out and buy, like I just recently hooked up a friend of mine with a guild for his wife, shout out to Peter. He bought that guitar, and I told him, I go, this will sound good for her. And if it sounds good, she'll want to play because it sounds professional. And because, who doesn't want to sound like their heroes? So, and you start with that, and that's the approach I've always had to playing, is it's better to spend money up front on your guitar or drums or bass than it is to buy cheap, because if you're pounding on it and you're always tuning or something's always falling apart, you're gonna be like, man, this thing's a piece of shit, and you're not gonna want to do it. Versus if you spend money on a quality guitar and it's set up and it plays good and it sounds good, but you play it through a cheap amp, well, when you get a bigger, better amp later, it's going to sound that much better, and you're going to be that much more inspired. So for me, definitely a quality thing is something that I look for, most definitely.
Thank you for your wisdom.
But also at the same time, I don't care if it's made in Japan or not. Definitely, the more money you spend, the better it's going to be. So that's kind of how I do it.
Spend your money. Just kidding.
On my stuff. Buy my stuff.
Yes, buy merch. What is the... Oh, yeah. Okay. What is your favorite part of connecting with your audience?
Just connecting with them. Any way. Yelling, clapping, throwing the horns, mosh pits, any of that energy. That's the best part. And I try to do the best I can, and just like I know everyone else does, to get that energy back, because otherwise, why do it?
Good point. I mean, I think you definitely elaborated that in the beginning of the interview, so I think that, crowd engagement is important. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Because otherwise, like I said, why do it? Just be a studio musician. If you want to play music, play it and release it in your basement. That's what I was going to do. But I love crowd interactions. I love, looking out. And sometimes I get nervous because it's all like, oh shit, there's a lot of people. You're supposed to stare at my feet. And I try to make myself look up. But it's not because I'm not having a good time. It's because I get too much, like the adrenaline rush is too much. It's like, shit, I gotta reel myself in it. Otherwise I'm just gonna be like, just standing there staring at him going, IR guitar player?
Would you consider yourself kind of like a people person then?
I am very much a people person.
I think that helps.
Ask anyone who's met me. I love to talk and I love people.
Imagine enjoying talking. I never shut up.
Same.
Great. No wonder we get along well. Any words you'd like to share with your fellow creatives or community? Anything at all?
Keep doing what you're doing. Stay true to yourself. Keep doing what you're doing. You'll do no wrong.
Oh yeah. Anything Rosetta's Creative Network can do for you as a creative?
I don't know. We've talked about that a little bit stuff. I think this interview, I think it's great. I think it will help people get to know the band and myself a little bit more. So I think what you're doing is a great thing. So far, yeah.
Awesome, thank you. And then, so if we didn't have the internet, what is one thing you would do to continue pursuing your creations?
Flyers. I would play and I would go to the music stores. I did that for a long time, even with the internet. Put up posted boards at all the music stores, guitar player looking for band, do you want to learn how to play guitar, learn how to play bass, I'd put my name for it. Just go to music stores, and play it by ear, use your little radar, okay, here's a guy with long hair wearing a Deicide shirt. Maybe he plays guitar, like, hey man, that's a good album. Yeah, thanks. You play guitar? Yeah, I do. And then just go from there. I mean, that's how I got in several of the bands I was in. Just, hey man, you play guitar?
Hell yeah. Is there anything you'd like to add?
No.
All right, so that completes our interview. And you can look forward to more interviews with creatives like Clint. And I will be bringing you more content, more videos. Go like, subscribe, and follow Clint and Gravestone on their social media pages. And then also, please like, share, and subscribe to my YouTube channel as well as Facebook, so we can stay connected. Wet my wiener with your favorite sauce. I'll see you later.